interviews. What's going on, y'all? Give you what you need to tech news and lab interviews. Jared the Lagniappe Legends. Jared the Lagniappe Legends. What's going on, y'all? Give you what you need to tech news and lab interviews. What's going on, y'all? Jared the Lagniappe Legends.
What's going on, y'all? It's your boy Jared from Lagniappe Legends Podcast, giving you what you need in news and interviews. Today, I got someone on the show I've been trying to interview for probably going on a year and a half now because the man is always busy. I got Antonio Cousins coming on the show, y'all. I've been knowing him for a while. We met through a mutual friend, Marcus Cummins, who's been on the show twice. And we've been in some trading groups as well during COVID. That's how we got to know each other a little bit. But for no further ado, let Antonio introduce himself to the community. Welcome to the show, sir. Give a brief background about yourself.
Before I do that, man, I gotta say that intro was fire. Lord, I gotta feel that, man. Lord, I ain't never seen nothing like that. So yeah, I gotta step my game up, man. For sure. Yeah, appreciate it. So yeah, man. My name is Antonio Cousin, born and raised in New Orleans. Went to McDonald 35. After that, went to LSU. Got my undergrad in business. Then went to University of North Texas in the Dallas area, specifically in Denton, Texas, and got my MBA in marketing. The whole time I was doing all that, I was working as a bank examiner for 14 and a half years, while also doing real estate on the side. I was a realtor. Well, I am a realtor. Been doing that for 13 and a half years. So I was doing both simultaneously, man. Started out with real estate as my side hustle, which turned into my main hustle. This year, 2023, I put out 2 books. One on how to escape the rat race, basically showing my journey of how I did it. And also a book on how to sell your home in any market. It's called From Listed to Sold. 55 expert strategies to sell your home in any market. In addition to that, father, husband, I have a podcast, me and a co-host, my guy, Greg Fassett. He used to play for the Saints, actually has a Super Bowl ring with the Saints. But yeah, it's called the Financial Flows Podcast, where we talk about everything from real estate to personal finance and everywhere in between. So that's a little bit about me. I'm in the Louisiana area, own a brokerage of 23 people, servicing the entire Baton Rouge, all the way to New Orleans and everywhere, around there. So we service the entire Southeast Louisiana market, basically.
Bet. Cool. Good introduction, man. And y'all need to go check out that Financial Flow podcast. I was listening to it on the car, and trust me, they give you a lot of gems in financial literacy, real estate, financial. I'm telling you, man, like they teach a good thing, and they just started. I think it started a few months ago, right?
I think it was it was either the first week of April or May. I can't recall. But yeah, we release every Wednesday, man. Me and Greg. I like it, man, because I like the feedback that we get from it. We get some really good feedback. So it's very encouraging. And we're hitting a lot of different countries. I think we're in 7 to 8 countries now. So it's picking up steam, and I'm loving it.
Great. Congratulations on that. And y'all make sure y'all check that out. Financial Flow podcast. Trust me, all podcast platforms. It's great. Trust me. I learned a lot from it. All right, so let's get into this interview, man. So let the people know what got you into the real estate industry.
So I've always wanted. I read Rich Dad Poor Dad back in 2007, and that kind of exposed me to it as far as the investor side of it. But in college, I also worked at the apartment complex as a leasing agent. So I was always into real estate per se. But my wife kind of, back in 2009, 10-ish, my wife told me, well, she was my fiance at that time. She just told me that she thought it'd be a good idea, for something I can look into because I identify with people well, and I was able, I made good connections. I was able to network with people. I'm friendly, a nice person to be around. At least that's what I think. But I wanted to do it just because of extra money, man, to be honest with you. So I got the real estate license in 2010 to make some extra money and be able to, flexible schedule, work around my own schedule, how, when I'm available. And actually, I loved it, man. I actually loved the reactions from the clients at the closing table, and that made me want to do it a little bit more than what I was doing at the time, which was a bank examiner. I didn't feel like I was adding value, I guess, in the bank examiner role, but I still stayed with it because I was making good money while also being able to sell real estate on the side. So that's why I did it, though. It was really just the money, but I actually enjoyed doing it, seeing the clients' faces, so it made me want it more, I guess. You can look at it that way.
Cool. So can you explain the steps how do you become a real estate agent? Because some people might not understand how you get into the real estate game.
Yeah, so I actually started out in Texas, man. It's a similar process all over the United States, though. You can go online, take different classes. All of them are going to have an education requirement. But I got licensed in Texas from 2010 to 2016, and then I moved back home in 2016 and got my license again in Louisiana. Basically, you're just taking some courses online, studying the test, and then there's a after you pass the courses, you have to take the national and the state exam. After you pass that, you're officially a license. You have your realtor license. The crazy thing about it is in school, they don't even teach you how to be a realtor. They just teach you compliance. They just teach you how to not get sued, how to follow the laws. You learn from that on the job experience and getting with maybe a mentor or somebody, your broker that can help you and train you. So you come out of school fresh with, you don't know what to do because they don't teach you that in school, unfortunately.
That's true. That's true. Some like on one of the episodes in your podcast, y'all talk about is college a scam. I need to check that episode out. It was pretty funny and realistic at the same time. But so now we talk about real estate broker. So explain to people, what is a real estate broker and how do you become a real estate broker agent?
Okay, so when you come out of school, you're just an agent, a salesperson, right? To become a broker, you have to be in Louisiana. All states are different, but in Louisiana, you have to be a salesperson for 4 years, and before you can take the class to become a broker. So you take the class, and then you pass another test, another state and national test, and then you're officially a broker. So what does that mean? That means you can either stay with your current brokerage where you're at and be called what they call as associate broker, or you can merge out and go out on your own, leave from your current brokerage and do your own thing like I did and start your own brokerage. So I will tell you this, just because you're a broker doesn't mean you're necessarily ready to start your own brokerage. Like I had a mentor that and I still have that same mentor that's been there, been doing it since he's 18. I think he's 53 or 54 now. So he's a wealth of experience. So anything, whenever I'm dealing with a situation, I go to him. So he helped me get my company off the ground back in 2020. We started July 14th of 2020, Service First Real Estate. But I know a lot of brokers out there who started a company who are not really ready to start a company. So just because you get the broker's license don't necessarily mean that you should start your own company.
I hear that. A lot of people disregard mentorship, especially somebody who's seasoned in industry you want to get into. I highly recommend that you get a mentor. It'll save you a lot of time, money, and mistakes. So if you know someone, if you want to be someone, you want to emulate that person, go out, reach them, ask them if they charge to be a mentorship program, anything like that, and follow their rules and instructions, and they help you out tremendously in any industry you're in. So let's talk about why. Let me go back. So when you're a real estate agent, can you give people some pointers or some things they should or should not do as a real estate agent?
Yes. So let me go back real quick to mentors. So
Okay.
the purpose of the mentorship, or at least in my case, was to shorten my learning curve. Like I didn't know how to own my own brokerage or open up a brokerage, but I shortened my learning curve so much by just going to this guy asking for advice and giving me pointers and documents. Like, here's what I do in my business. Maybe you should consider it, or at least take a look at it so you can tailor it to whatever works for you in your market. And then my mentor, he's not even in Louisiana, he's in Oregon. So different states, different laws, but it still helped shorten my learning curve significantly. But let me tell you this. So you asked the question about do's and don'ts. One thing that I would want to say is that, like, people look at me now and think I'm an overnight success. Bro, I've been licensed since 2010. I didn't really hit my stride until 2020. So that's 10 years of grinding, hustling, until I really started to hit the ground running. But like, people just started seeing it because I just started posting more around 2020. The cool thing about it was, well, not cool, but I had another job. At that other job, they didn't know I did real estate on the side. I had to keep my Facebook, my Instagram, all my profiles private. And I had to block them because I didn't want them knowing, because I work for the government, and at that particular agency, you had to get that stuff approved. So you had to go through a formal approval process. And one time I did try to go through the approval process from the investor side of things, and it took 14 days and it had 1 million questions, and I didn't enjoy that. So I said, when I get my license, I wasn't going to tell them about it. So I quit the job in December of 2021. So 11 years of blocking people and, just they call it a secret agent. That's what I was, a secret agent. So I couldn't really be myself and be out there on social media like that until now. So people see it now and they think like, damn, he just arrived. But man, I've been putting in work for 13 and a half years. You know what I mean? So going back to the do's and don'ts, don't expect to come in and think that you're just gonna sell a bunch of real estate right away, because it doesn't work like that. Like I say, when you get your license, it takes some time to learn the process. It takes time, honestly. So you have to be willing to go in there and grind, put in the work, and learn. The education piece is so important. A lot of people, they just come in and think they're gonna make money, but the crazy thing about it is, like with real estate, specifically the sales part of the business, if you're not selling anything, you're actually losing money, because you have fees, you have monthly fees, quarterly fees, annual fees. So if you're not selling any real estate, you're actually going into the hole. You're negative. So just expect to come in there and not sell anything. I didn't sell my first house until 14 months. Like, it took me 14 months to sell a house. So just know that going into it, you want to have like some kind of cushion set aside for those times where you don't have any sales, because you are spending money on marketing, on local dues, annual, national dues, things like that. So keep that in mind. A do would be to get a mentor, shadow somebody who's been there before, who's done what you want to do. Find out. I know a lot of people, like myself included, I don't have time to mentor somebody. But what I could do, or what you could do, is find ways to add value to that person. Find ways to add value to that person, and then they'll find a way to mentor you in return. Trust me on that. So that's a do. Find somebody who's doing what you want to do, who's been there before, and find ways to add value to that person. They'll take you under their wing.
Cool. That was some great information. I was unaware of the fees that you have to pay monthly. Well, can you give me an estimate, like how much fees you pay per monthly for your dues? I guess those fees are going to your broker and to the broker company or something like that.
So man, this is gonna vary. Honestly,
Okay.
man. Like in my company, for instance, all the agents, they pay a $50 fee a month to the brokerage, and that covers like the website, the CRM, all the training platform we have, the coaching. Like, it covers a bunch of things, but every company is gonna have something different, where the fees are gonna go to whatever it is that that particular brokerage has. But in addition to that, you have marketing. If you're spending money on marketing, you have fees for that. Every if you, Once you get your license, you become a real estate agent. To become a realtor by name is a trademark. You have to be a member of the National Association of Realtors. So that has fees involved. There's local fees and national fees. So in addition to that, if you want to be a member of the MLS and have access to all the properties, there's fees involved for that. Those are usually quarterly. In addition, if you want to have the key to open up the lock boxes, there's fees for that every single month. So my monthly fees are crazy high, because I invest in myself. I don't look at it as a fee. I look at it as an investment. It's not a cost, it's an investment. So I'm at a point where I'm spending quite a bit every month. But I mean, for the normal person just starting out, you're probably looking at maybe like $150 to $200 a month, something like that. But that adds up if you're not selling no real estate. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you're doing this full time and this is your only gig.
Okay. So so do you have to pay monthly, or can you, if you sell a house, can you take out the fees from there, or you just have to pay per month, or it depends on the broker?
Yeah, it depends on the brokerage. Man, that's
Okay.
the cool thing about this. So, like with each brokerage, everybody's going to be different. Everybody's different. Everybody all has a different business model, and they offer different things. So it just depends on the company. But as far as the fees and stuff, like the annual, local, and national fees, they're annually. You can't get around that. That's the fees are what it is. Then you have to join the local board, like the MLS board.
Yeah.
That's money involved. Like, it's a bunch of fees, man. But I'll tell you this. So right now in our current market, we have higher interest rates than they have been in the past 3 years. So what's happening is the market is slowing down. People are still buying and selling, because I'm still doing it. I'm just doing it at a slower rate than I normally would be. But what it's doing is it's forcing a lot of agents who don't do any business to get out of the market and go find other jobs, or to go back to their full-time job, wherever they were, if they were doing this on the side. So that is forcing a lot of agents out of the market, which is good. That the people that are remaining are the people that's serious. You know what I mean? So
Yes,
it's
yes,
a good
most
thing.
definitely. So you explain the do's and don'ts from an agent side. Can you explain the do's and don'ts from a being a broker?
Yeah. So if you want to go out and start your own company, please talk to someone who's done it before, instead of just going out there and figuring it out. Like I said earlier, you can shorten your learning curve significantly by doing it that way. Um, as far as like I told you earlier, there's a lot of people who get their broker's license and just assume that they should go out and start their own brokerage, but they're really not ready. There's so much, man. Do you realize that as the broker of this company and all 23 of the agents, like I take on liability for all of them. So that if they do
Mm,
something wrong, guess who's getting sued? We both are.
right.
So you got to be willing, be willing to do that. That's why it's very important that you have training in place to train the agents. I don't like to refer to them as my agents because they're my partners. Like I have a vested interest in seeing them win. The way it works is it's a commission split. Like they sell, then the brokers get some money and they get the majority of it. But I have a vested interest in making sure that everybody wins. So I'm gonna train them and make sure that they know, as much as I know, because I don't want them to get sued because then I'm getting sued. So just know that you have to be prepared to take on that kind of liability. But there's some people who get their broker's licenses and they just leave because they want to get 100% of the commission, and that's fine too. And they may not want to start a big brokerage where they have agents under them, and that's fine. If you want to do that for 100% commission, just make sure you're ready. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Cool. So let's talk about what was that moment that made you, because a lot of people struggle with being a full-time 9 to 5 employee and then branching off to full-time entrepreneurship. So what was that moment that made you like, you know what, I'm tired of doing this. I'm gonna bet 100% on myself. I'm gonna go all in on myself, go 100% into my business. So can you describe that moment? Because a lot of people do have that struggle.
Oh yeah. So look, I'll tell you this. So I was working as a bank examiner, making really good money. And at that time, I moved back home in 2016. So I was working from home for the same company. So I was making Texas money, but in Louisiana. So by the time I quit, man, I was making a little over 120,000 working from home for the federal government. So I had them great federal government benefits. You know what I mean? So that was tough. It was really tough to walk away from. I'm not even gonna lie to you. But I knew I wanted to bet on myself. So in February of 2021, I said to myself that no matter what, I was going to make sure that I'm gone by December 31st. I said that. And when I make a commitment to myself, I always come through because you can't confuse, you can't put it like this. Whenever I say I'm going to do something, my word is everything. If I say I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. Even if that's to myself. I made a commitment to myself. So by the time I walked away, it was December 17th. So 2 weeks earlier than I had wanted to. But I knew I had arrived because I had come to the point where I was making more in real estate than I was on a full-time job. And the full-time job was actually slowing me down from making the amount of money I can make in real estate. So I had gotten to a point where I just wanted my freedom. I like being able to do whatever I want, whenever I want, like scheduling this podcast with you. Like all I had to do was look at my personal schedule to make sure I didn't have no conflicts. I didn't have to ask anybody for leave. You know what I mean? I didn't have to take sick leave, annual leave, none of that stuff. I do what I want, and that's what I enjoy, man. That time freedom, being able to do me, and that's what I've missed. That's why people get into real estate, but I feel like they don't fully respect the grind. Like you have to grind and put in work to get where I am now. I'm still putting in work every day. I got a killer morning routine, and if you want to know about it, I could tell you.
Oh yeah, tell me about
every
it.
single day.
Yeah.
Okay, so every single day, I wake up at 5 a.m. every single day, the weekends included, 5 a.m. And Monday through Friday, I wake up, come in the office, my home office, and I get on a Zoom call with the team. We get on at 5:15 in the morning. It's usually about 15 to 20 minutes. I started off with a motivational quote, and then we go around the room just sharing like what are our goals for the day. And I don't get all 23 participating ever. The most I've ever gotten is 7 at one time. So it's usually between 3 and 7 people. So we share our goals for the day. And then we started maybe about a year and a half ago where we do a book club. So we just finished this book today. It's called How to Sell Anything to Anybody. So we read a book basically, and we take a couple chapters each night, and then we come to the table the next day and talk about our takeaways, what we learned. After that's done, I read my books, whatever the reading is for the night. I read about 30 minutes to 45 minutes, and then I go and I converted my garage to a gym during COVID. So half of my garage. So I go work out for about 45 minutes to an hour, come back, take a shower, get the kids ready to go to school, and then I'm starting my work day. All that time I'm on do not disturb because I don't want anybody to mess up my peace. Like that morning time is my time. I don't want any calls, texts, any of that stuff to come through. And then it just disturbs my routine basically. Like I'm proactive instead of reactive every morning. I think if you come from it from that standpoint where you're proactive, you could win the morning every single day. So the same thing on Saturdays and Sundays. I get up at 5. The only thing is I just don't have my Zoom call with my team. So I just spend more time reading. I read a lot of books, like a whole lot of books, man. Like you get so much information from books. I think people sleeping on that, man. You heard about it on the podcast. I was telling you, like growing up in New Orleans, like at least my childhood, people used to rip me. Like I tried to pick up a book, like, oh, that boy read books. You know what I mean? So it's frowned upon. So I never used to read, man. Like I just went with the crowd. You know what I mean? That peer pressure. I didn't start reading until like my late 20s. I'm 39. I didn't start reading until my late 20s. I'm like, damn, I've been missing out all this time, man. I get so much information from books, then I take action on that information. Though that's the key part, taking that action. So, but that's my morning, man. Pretty much, it's spent on doing me and getting focused for the day and not letting the world distract me, like emails and Instagram and notifications. Why I keep my notifications off, man. I gotta stay on task.
Right. I agree with everything you just said. Like I even started my own morning routine after listening to y'all podcast. I started putting like do not disturb. I walk. I listen to podcasts. I know y'all listen to ET every time hip hop preacher. Listen to him. So get my mind right for the day. So having that morning routine, I work out daily as well. I get up early too. I just naturally get up early. And also when you said that you were free when you started your own business, I don't know if people familiar with Robert Smith, the Black billionaire. He said the same thing. He said you're truly not financially free until you start your own business or entity. So I like that statement you said. So let's talk about, since we talk about books, let's talk about how you created and started your 2 books and what inspired you to do so. So let's talk about that process.
To be honest, the way I look at it is I like to impact the masses, right? And if I put it in a book, then it can impact more people. So the first book I released on February 28th is I'm Out, Escaping the Rat Race, One Income Stream at a Time. That's what the book is called. It's a short book, 41 pages, quick and short and to the point. Like no fluff.
You got any book? You got the book on you? Like you got a hard copy?
Yeah, I got plenty, man. Hold on, man. Hold on one second. What was I thinking? Why didn't I have this next to me? So yeah, so I got this book came out February 28th. And it's been, man, I sold about 400 to date, about 446 copies, something like that.
Okay.
It's available on my website, gotincomestreams.com. That's gotincomestreams.com. But in the book, I just talk about escaping the rat race, man. Like, what is it? How I was able to do it, and then the process, like a framework behind it. So in that book, I get.
Nope. You still there? Technical difficulties. You still there? Can you hear me?
Three pages. And I put it together. It's just basically it's for homeowners, man. Anybody who are thinking about selling their home, if with or without a realtor. You know, it just gives them tips and strategy on how to sell your house. So with or without a realtor, that's for homeowners, or realtors can buy it for, you know, strategies and ways to sell their existing inventory. So that's what I did this year, though. I want to work on one more, though, man. I'm working. It'll probably be out next year. It's basically like if I could do it all over again from a team. Like if I could do it all over again to escape the rat race and hit financial freedom, what I would have done at an earlier age. So.
All right, cool. I like that. What was the process like? What was the process? Did you hire an agency to help you create the book? You did it all on your own?
Yeah, I just sat down, got a Word document, put together an outline, and then I just start typing for a while. Like I wake up early, so I just get in the morning and stay up a little later and just type. And then once I got it to where I thought it was good, I hired somebody on Fiverr to make it look good. It started out as an ebook. It started out as an ebook, and then I hired somebody to make it the Kindle formatting to get it on Amazon. I wouldn't recommend you buy from Amazon though. You can just buy directly from me, but it is on Amazon. But yeah, I just got somebody to put it on there for me. But that's it.
Just I got you. That's what's up. You're making it sound real easy.
People, all right. So I'm glad you brought that up. It really just depends on you and your mindset, honestly. With anything. Like, yeah, it's easy. I say it's easy, but it's really just how you feel up here, honestly. You could say it's hard, then it's gonna be hard. But you could say it's easy, and it's gonna be easy. So it really just it's on you. But yeah, I do this, man. I feel good, bro. I'm getting so much accomplished, bro. And like I write my goals out. I forgot about that. That's my morning routine. So I read my goals every morning and every night. Right here, I printed them out. I have one next to me. Oh, you can't see it because of the background. But yeah, I have one next to me on the my nightstand, one next to me on my desk, and one next to me in my content studio. And I always see it, man. It's always in front of me, and I attract it because it's always top of mind.
I agree with that statement. When I forgot who I listened to. He said start writing your goals down, and every goal I wrote, it might not come as soon as you want, but eventually it's gonna come. As long as you keep working on it, as long as you keep working out that list, exiting out competition, everything, man. Trust me. Write down your list and your goals because it works. Everything I wrote down so far, most of everything I wrote down on my goal list, I've accomplished.
Jim Rohn was the one I got it from.
Okay,
that dude is a beast. He been gone. He been dead for years, man. Still an unofficial mentor for me because all this stuff on YouTube, and I can just listen to it whenever I want. That dude was a beast.
What's his name?
Jim Rohn, ROHN.
Jim Rohn. Okay, I'm gonna have to check him out. Okay,
he a beast.
Okay. All right. So so you had the same topic on your podcast. Should you go to college or should you just do something else? Trying to avoid college and college fees. So, what do you recommend with somebody who wants to get into the real estate industry? Should they go to school, maybe get a business degree or finance degree just to help them with their real estate business, or should they just go ahead and get a mentor, get certified, get in the game, learn, and start earning?
So that's gonna depend on the person, because like we talked about on the podcast, college is expensive, man.
Yes,
like
ridiculous.
I don't necessarily know if it's worth it unless you're doing like a STEM major, something like that. A hack would be going to junior college for 2 years, saving that money, getting your associate's degree, and then going to a 4-year. But I mean, everybody not able to get scholarship. I had a full ride. That's why I did it. Full ride. I ain't pay for nothing. I was there 5 years. I ain't pay for nothing. None of those 5 years, all scholarships, man. But like a lot of people racking up crazy debt now, man. And then they getting a job that they'll never be able to pay that back, not immediately, or not over the next the short term period. You know what I mean? Is a long term thing, and they just get all these student loans that set them back. Is the trap that we live in. I talk about it in the rat race. Like it's a cycle, bro. So as far as getting a real estate license, you can get a real estate license and start right at 18. Like you can start right away at 18. You don't necessarily need college for that. You just need to find a good broker that's going to mentor you and show you the way and train you appropriately. But I think college, the benefit of it is the networking aspect, man. You can network with so many people. I still talk to all my relationships that I built at LSU. You know what I mean? And I'm an alpha. I pledged at LSU, so we got a good network there as well that I rely on. But that will be the benefit of college, is just meeting those people, that building those relationships that you can rely on for years later. But is it worth it? I don't know. Depends on the major. Depends on the person, if they have the financial means.
I got you. I agree with that statement. Like if it's nothing, if it's not in STEM or you're not, architecture or lawyer or something like that, or doctor, I wouldn't recommend spending all six figures for a degree. We might not even make that.
Everything you want to know is on YouTube, bro. Like you can buy books, you can pay for courses, you can go on YouTube, man. You can learn anything out there if you're not a STEM major. But you can learn some of that stuff on there too. But you need the degree to actually get the job or whatever. Right. But man, they got so much out there, that you can learn online. So many free resources.
So I'm glad you said that. So my concern is, since COVID, a lot of people has gotten into the content course creation aspect, right? So I know you're reputable. I know through you network with people and stuff like that. So how do you determine when someone is giving you real or fake real estate information? Because they got people that be selling a real estate class and they say, oh, you follow me, I mentor you, I guarantee you we can make this money, we can flip. Just like, well, I ain't gonna say no names, but they got relatives, people that look like us, promising you get into this fund, you're gonna get money back, and they rob people blind. So how do you recommend to find somebody that's reputable or fake?
So look, I'll tell you this: that fund you talking about, I'm an investor in that fund. So I already know.
Mm.
Yeah, hey, bro, I
Mm.
did it for the culture.
Mm-hmm.
Never again. But how you find out if they're real or fake? Everything is on Google nowadays, man. You can search anybody. So do your due diligence. See who may know them and who may have done business with them before. Um, like I said, I invested in it. I only did $1,000, so I'm not tripping. But
Okay.
a lot of people have done more, and it's unfortunate. But I should have went with my gut. I just did it for the culture. You know what I mean? But just do your due diligence because there is a lot of things out there. But also, I'll tell you, um, like there's levels to everything. So like I don't know everything. I'm an investor, I'm a real time, all that stuff. But I could put a course together where my target audience or my target client for that course may not be the person that's a level above me because they already have that information. So it really just depends on where you are. You try to meet people where they are. And in my course that I'm building out right now, it's for the person that has a 9 to 5 that doesn't like what they're doing and they know there's a better way, but they just don't know how. They don't know what they need to do to get there. So they're tired of going to work making money only to have to pay it back out in bills. You know what I mean? They're looking for a solution to have some extra income coming in so that they can get off the hamster wheel, the rat race per se. So that's what my course is for. It's not for the person that's already made it. They already have a ton of cash. Like that's not who it's for. So you have to identify. You have to make sure that whatever course or whatever you're gonna buy, make sure you're the target audience. You make sure you fully understand what you're getting yourself into and doing your homework, your proper due diligence before you get into it. That's all.
Okay, I agree with that. I agree with that. So let's talk about how real estate can help someone create generational wealth. Um, we've been hearing like they have, like again, they have actors that tell people don't buy a home because all it is the money, the bank gets your money and you're not really getting no benefit from it, which is a total lie because real estate, when you buy real estate property, it always goes up and you can pass it down to the next generation. So can you explain to people how important it is to have real estate property or investment property, or even just being able to invest into like even stock market when it comes to REITs, real estate investments and REITs, and trusts, stuff like that.
Yep, I'm glad you brought it up, bro, because I ain't even bring it up earlier. So when it comes to real estate, man, I love this stuff. Like me and a group of 600 people, we teach real estate investing every single Tuesday night and have been doing so for over 3 years now. Every single Tuesday night. We may have taken off 2, maybe 3 nights over the last 3 years. So we teach a different topic. All of it's free, by the way. It's just a way to give back to our community. We love real estate investing. We love the power of it and what it can do for you. So that's why we're so committed to doing it. But as far as myself, man, I'm a own. I have an ownership interest in 253 doors. So 253 doors around the U.S. 240 of that is an apartment complex in Georgia, Dalton, Georgia. The other 13 are local to Louisiana that I own. Some with partners and some with just me and my wife. I love it because every single property in America goes up in value over the long term. So a lot of people get into real estate investing thinking it's gonna make some quick cash, but it ain't quick cash. It's the long term, like building generational wealth, like you talked about. Like you benefit from the appreciation of the property going up in time, over time, I mean, over the long term, but you also get the cash flow every single month. So yeah, it may not look sexy to get $200 every month or $300 every month, whatever you're getting. But when you start to stack that on property on property on property, an extra 1,000 to 1,500 to $2,000 a month, that can actually make a lasting impact in someone's life. So you have to consider it from that aspect. And then a lot of people, they don't even realize that there's tax benefits from owning real estate. Why you think most millionaires, I think the latest statistic I heard was 95% of all millionaires own residential real estate for investment property purposes. They own investment properties because they realize the tax benefits of it. So I just mentioned you can make $200, $300 a month or whatever it is per property, whatever your guidelines is and your threshold for when you're doing your homework. But whatever you make per month, you don't even pay taxes on all that money because there's something called depreciation where the government allows you to take tax deductions against that income. I'm not going to go into detail on it because I don't want to confuse people, but it's crazy. I make this money, in real estate, but I don't even pay taxes on all of it. Cash free, tax free to my pockets, cash flow. Not only that, we talked about this is one that a lot of people don't realize, but it's called inflation profiting. Is when basically you're locking in long-term debt at a fixed cost, and over the time period, they can't come back to you and say, I want you to raise. Let me just give you an example, make it easier. So let's say I lock in a payment today, 30-year principal and interest payment of $1,000 a month. So I'm paying back the loan $1,000 a month. Okay, I'm paying it back today. Let's say 10 years from now, 2033. The bank can't come back to me and say, I need you to pay more than $1,000 a month now because of inflation. Nah, I locked it in for 30 years. So as we know, the dollar decreases in value every single day due to inflation. So if inflation is at 4% currently, that means my dollar today is only going to be worth 96 cents next year. So if I'm locking in a fixed payment, I mean, of $1,000, for instance, in this example, next year I'm paying it back with cheaper money because I just showed you that the value of the dollar goes down every day. So you need to take that dollar or your money and invest it into something that's going to go up in value to beat inflation. That's residential real estate for me. Residential and commercial. I don't want just limited, but that's real estate. And that's why I love it, man. There's way more benefits to it, but that's at a high level. That's why I love real estate. It's so much you could do, man. And you provide like homes. You provide housing for people. You know what I mean? Like, why you should appreciate that. A lot of people out there that slumlords, man. You don't never want to be a slumlord. That comes back. I'm a big believer in karma, man. You want to treat people fairly. You want to give them a nice place to rent, and they're going to in turn pay down your mortgage for you. They're going to pay off your mortgage, which is going to increase your equity over the long term, and paying you every month. Like it's a win-win. You can't beat that.
Can you explain what equity is? Some people don't know what equity is.
Facts. So equity. So if you have an asset, let's say the house is worth $100,000. That's an asset, right? The house is worth $100,000, and then you have a loan against it of, let's say, $80,000. That means 100,000 minus your 80 is $20,000. That's your equity in the property. So assets minus liabilities equal equity. So that's all it is. Just the amount of money that you have in the property. And if you want to take it another advanced level, you need to take that equity and use it, because equity in the house is stuck in the house. But you can get a line of credit. You can borrow against that equity, which we ain't talk about, leverage. You can borrow against that equity and do something with it by buying more properties, more income streams. It's all about income streams. That's the purpose of my book. I'm trying to showcase that you want to buy income streams. You want to have money coming to you every month to help, take care of your lifestyle and pay for your living expenses. Like, the cash flow is everything.
Can you give an example how someone can leverage the line of credit, a HELOC, or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah, I tell you, I do it myself. So yeah. I got on my primary residence. So I got a HELOC on it, which means, let's just for example purposes, this is not true numbers, but let's say my house is worth $500,000. All right. So let's say my loan balance on the house is $300,000. That means my equity in the property is $200,000. So what you can do at that point is go to the bank and they'll give you a loan against that $200,000 in equity. Let's say they give you 80% of that of the $200,000. So 80% of $200,000 is $160,000. So they'll give you a line of credit for $160,000. What you could do with that money, whatever you want, honestly. You tell them that you're going to use it for house improvements because it's easier to get the approval then. But then you take that $160,000 and do whatever you want with it. I make loans with mine. So I may take, money out of my HELOC and go lend it to somebody who needs to borrow money. And then I make the arbitrage. So whatever I'm paying on the HELOC, I just make the difference from whatever I'm charging the borrower to borrow from me. And I take a lien out on a collateral if it's a real estate property to protect myself. So it's a bunch of different things you can do with that money, but you just have to understand money and know that money is a currency. It has to be put to work to benefit you. You can't just have it sitting there because you're losing money. I mean, you're losing your purchasing power due to inflation. So you got to put that money to work.
That's what's up. That's a whole lot of game right there, people. That's a whole lot of game right there. I got a few more questions. I know you're a busy man. We got a few more. We got about 17 more minutes left. Question. So, people go on Instagram, social media, wherever it may be. Always hear bird method. Can you elaborate on that? And do you recommend someone maybe who's not seasoned in real estate to get into the bird method strategy?
The bird method.
Bruh,
both of those game changers, both of them. I get a lot of clients who like the house hack, and when he's saying house hacking, y'all, he's talking about basically buying a house. It could be a single family house and renting out rooms within that house, or it could be a multifamily and renting out the other units. So like if I have a duplex, I live in one side, I rent out the other side. The benefit of doing that is because whenever you're buying a property as your primary residence, you get favorable loan terms, meaning you don't have to put down as much as a down payment as somebody who's an investor would. So if you're buying a property as your primary residence, you can get a loan product anywhere from 0% down to 5% down. Just depending on the loan product that you go with and that you qualify for. So the benefit of that is you only got to live there a year before you move out of the unit that you had, that you were living in, and repeat the process. That's all you got to do, 1 year. So imagine doing that every year and scaling up your portfolio. That is the way to do it. So especially if you're a younger, somebody that's relatively young, and you want to start out, but you don't have all the money. The cool thing about it is the lender will allow that vacant unit, or if it's a fourplex, the other 3 units, they'll take some of that income from the property to help you qualify for the property. So it's crazy, man. So that's house hacking. I can get a little more deeper into it, but that's the basis of it. When it comes to the Burr method, he's talking about BRRRR. So buy, renovate, rent, refinance, repeat. So you buy the property. It has to be something that needs value, like a value add. So something that's a beat up property that needs work. All right. So you buy the property, you fix it up. So you fix it up, bring it to, like new condition. Then you put a tenant in there, rent it out. Then you go to the bank and say, look, I need a loan on this property. They'll give you a loan to pay, reimburse you for whatever you already spent to acquire the property and fix it up. And then you just repeat the process. You take the money that they just gave you, start the process over. That's one of my favorites, because all you're doing is recycling the same money. So like, I wish I could give you an easy example with numbers, but I don't want to confuse people. So let's just say I'm taking my cash, and this is what I've done. Took my cash, went out and bought a property, took my cash, went out and fixed the property up, put a tenant in there. Then I went to the bank and told them I needed a loan against the property, because right now it's all 100%. Like I put the money in there to fix it, and I put the money in to acquire the property. So now the bank is going to give me they're going to appraise the property, which is going to go up in value because I fixed it up. So forced depreciation, it was what they call that. Now they'll give me a loan, so I get all my money back that I put in initially, the cash that I used to fix it. Get all that money back. And the cool thing about that is, whenever you get a loan, it's tax free. Like you don't pay money, you don't pay taxes on a loan ever. So I got all that money back, and now I got a tenant in there that's paying me every single month, and it's paying me an amount that's higher than whatever that loan amount is that they're giving me to give me the loan. And then I can take that money that I have back in my bank account now and go repeat the process. So that's how you build wealth over time, by utilizing the same money. Like this, man, if you can realize that, it's the same money, you just recycling it. And every time you do it, you're coming away with an asset, a house, and a tenant that's living there now, paying you. So they're paying down your loan, increasing your equity, and you're making money every month. Like, it's a no-brainer. And you still get the tax benefits that we talked about. Crazy, bro. And that's the thing. Yes. A lot of people don't have the information. That's the main part, honestly, is the education piece. So you have to seek the knowledge. First of all, a lot of people don't go out there to try to seek the knowledge. I sought the knowledge out in 2007. I didn't buy my first property until 2018 because I was scared. 11 years wasted. That I could have had so many properties paying me all this money, but I was scared, bro. Don't be scared. You got to take action. I'm sorry I had to say that. But that's one of my biggest regrets in life, is being scared to take action those 11 years. I just kept reading about it, saying, oh, one day I'll have the information. One day I kept coming up with excuses, basically. Tired of excuses.
Yes, more execution, less excuses. I feel you on that. I believe that. I think a lot of people wait for the perfect situation. That perfect situation ain't gonna happen. You just got to get in the game. Yeah. I know people are scared. I know you're gonna risk losing some money, but would you rather risk some to gain a lot, or risk nothing and be in the same situation you're in currently? Like, you got to do something to change the game. I like that. I like what you said. So let me ask you this. Because now that I learned all this information, I kicked myself in the butt so many times. Just imagine if I was in my 20s and had this information, I could have been house hacking all this time, and I'd be a multi-millionaire by now, something crazy. Yeah. So what do you recommend for people who are highly interested into real estate investing? Should they go into the real estate route, get their license? Should they go wholesaling, or just don't worry about it? Just hire their own real estate person to do the deals, find a property? What do you recommend? Or you, like you said, it always depends on the person.
Yeah, it's gonna depend on the person. But I'll tell you this: like with me, I got my license because I wanted to have access to the deals and be able to go into the properties without having to wait for a realtor. And I want to get commission. The cool thing about that is I buy deals and I'm getting a commission on the property I purchase. Like, I'm getting paid too. You know what I'm saying? So it's going to depend on the person. A lot of people feel like they shouldn't get their license to become investors, because when you have your license, you're upheld to a different standard. You have to disclose up front that you're a licensed real estate salesperson, but you also upheld to a different standard because you know more. You have more information handy, at your disposal. But a lot of people, some people do wholesaling because it doesn't require much money up front. It doesn't require credit checks. It doesn't require you spend money on marketing. That's the people you see the we buy houses cash. You see the bandit signs around town. Yeah, and you can make quick cash with that, but you pay some hefty taxes on that money you make too. It's ordinary income, so you're gonna be taxed at ordinary income rates. So it just depends on the person. What I will tell you as far as getting started though, there's so much free game out there. Like I told you, we do it every Tuesday night on Zoom. So it's virtual. You can do it from anywhere around the country. We got people from all over the country on there. But in addition to that, every single city, major city in the US has what they call a REIA, REIA. So Real Estate Investor Association. So look up whatever city you're in, New Orleans, REIA. Google that and watch what comes up. A lot of times you'll have multiple ones. I know in the Baton Rouge area, because I live closer to Baton Rouge now than I do New Orleans, but they have two that meet monthly. Go to those local REIAs and just network with people within there and just listen to the education. It's always, sometimes they'll charge a $10 fee or $5 fee to cover the cost of the room, but a lot of times it's free. It's free. Yeah, you get to network with people that's actually doing deals. Remember we talked about finding a mentor. You could possibly find a mentor out there. You learn because they're out there teaching something. They're gonna have a topic each month where they're teaching something. So that would be a good step in as far as getting the investing side of it and getting started. But don't be scared. That's one thing I wish I could go back to. I was scared, man. But you would never know everything. Never. Like you would never know everything ever. Just take action.
So since we both married, I know that when it comes to finances, financial literacy, and being an investor and getting in the real estate game, I know that sometimes being married and having a spouse limits some people because their spouse is very uncomfortable putting up the amount of money to get into a real estate property or do a buy and flip or something like that. How do you navigate the situation being a realtor with your clients, or how even in your own personal with your wife? How did you get her being on board in the game?
Take them to the meetings with you. Show them like I bought, man. It's crazy, but I spent a little over $1,000 on a course because I wanted my wife to understand why I wanted to do this. Like I wanted her to see the bigger picture of what it could do for us, So exposing them to the information. It's from the realtor side. When I face those kind of situations where I have the spouse that on the fence about it, I just show them what I'm doing. Like I can't guarantee any returns, can't guarantee anything, but I'll show you what I'm doing. If you like what I'm doing, then you'll move forward. If you don't like what I'm doing, that's fine too. But I'm just exposing you to the information. I'm sharing my story with you and what I have going on and how I got here. I'll help you along the way, but I can't guarantee anything. It's on the person.
Right. I like that. I like that. So, because my wife, she's more on the conservative side, but me bring it like I did. I bought her to Eric Thomas when he came to New Orleans, and we listened to Jamal King 9 to 5 Millionaire, and that opened up her eyes. Like Jamal King always say, exposure leads to expansion. So that opened up her eyes to real estate game. So now she got more comfortable. Right now we got three properties total. So that's what I want. That's my next question. So do you all offer property management as well? Because that's another thing people really don't know about real estate agents. Real estate agents can be your property manager as well and manage your long-term or even short-term Airbnb properties, if I'm not mistaken. Can you elaborate on that?
Yeah, I don't offer it. The company doesn't offer it. It's just so many rules and regulation that you have to follow when you come into it. And then fair housing, like it's just too much that I don't want to take. Remember, I told you earlier, I'm liable for everything that any agent does at the brokerage. I don't want to take that on. I don't want that's a different set of learning. Like I manage my own stuff, but I'm not willing to take on that from the brokerage level. I'm not at that point, man. So I would outsource that out if I were you all. If you don't want to do it yourself, because it does take time. I'll tell you in the instances where some people may feel like a house hack, for instance, they may feel like they don't want the tenant to know that they live next door. So what I've seen is they'll get their cousin or aunt or any family member to act as if they're the landlord. and they'll be the ones in contact with the tenant next door. So then the person next door never knows who actually owns it. They think it's somebody else when it's the next door neighbor. And that helps because you know how you act a different way when you know the landlord living next door to you as opposed to if they didn't. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. I agree with
yeah,
that. I like that. Heck, I like that. So when somebody's looking for a property manager, what are some ways you can know if they're legitimate, they're good, bad? Because now there were people like myself, I'm building up my portfolio. Um, I have a property manager, but I'm looking like if I want to do something out of state, how would I know if they're good or not?
Google. So Google
Yeah.
them. Look for reviews. Like
Mhm.
reviews will be the best bet, honestly. And ask them for references. Obviously, if they're gonna give you a reference, they're probably gonna give you the best people that they've ever worked with because they're gonna give them a good reference, right? But you still want to ask them and ask them those challenging questions just to see, uh, kind of gauge if you go with your gut, like gauge what they're saying, and if it feels fake, then it's probably not a good sign. You know what I'm saying? So Google though, definitely Google property managers to see that in
Okay.
reviews.
Okay. Since COVID hit our world and stuff like that, has COVID impacted your business in any way, shape, or form, or nah, it doesn't even bother you anymore?
It did at the very beginning. I'll tell you,
Mhm.
they had a house. So COVID, it came what, March of 2020. So they had a
Yeah.
house that I sold in April of 2020 or April or May of 2020. And I'll tell you, that was right at the very beginning of everything, and everybody was scared to do anything. So I actually sold this house. I was on the buyer side, and I never actually stepped foot in the house. Crazy, huh? So my buyer, I set it up to where my buyer was able to go there with the sellers only, which I never advised. I always want an agent present, but we were dealing with some different times at the time. So
Mhm.
my buyer went there without me. I set it up. The buyer went for the inspection. I wasn't there, and then I sold it. Never seen the property. I saw it on pictures, but never, visited. It was crazy, but not anymore though. Like everything good, no problems with COVID.
I
So
got you. All right. So since you we're both black males in the industry, you could face some type of racism or any being denied in business. Have that ever happened to you in your field?
nah. I mean, no.
Okay.
I mean, I don't allow. If it did, I wouldn't have noticed. I don't allow that to hinder my success. Period.
Mm.
I don't know what you know about me, but I don't let none of that stuff stop me. If I got a goal set on something, like right now, I'm focused on multifamily. Like I want to get
Mm.
in large multifamily. I told you about the one apartment complex in Georgia, but now my focus is on strictly that. So I'm not really buying single family rentals right now, unless the deal is too crazy where I can't pass it up. But I am like 100% committed to multifamily right now. I'm going to 2 conferences next month in Orlando. I went to one in January. I just finished a 10-week boot camp with Bigger Pockets. Like I'm 100% trying to be on that side because that's like life-changing money. I
Okay.
want to be. I'm scaling up. Is remember earlier I said it's levels. Like I've had
Yes.
my fun at the single family and small multifamily, but now it's time to level up and go for the big deal. So that's what I'm working on, man.
That's
And
what's up. I like that. I
yeah,
like that.
I want to mention something though, because you mentioned earlier that we both black males. I'm in
Mm.
the organization, man, called the 100 Black Men of Baton Rouge, and
Mm.
bruh, like I told you earlier, impact. Like I'm all about impact, and we do so many amazing things in the community, bro. Like I'm focused. Like we have probably like 200 members, so like you get in wherever you fit in, and my focus is straight personal finance. So I am one of the instructors for this program we have called Dollars and Cents. It's an 8-week program where we teach everything from real estate, stocks, credit, insurance, taxes, the wealth gap and why it exists. Like it's an 8-week program on Sundays. That 2-hour program we teach high school students, and they don't have to be males. It's co-eds. So we've been doing that I've been a part of that for about 3 years now, going on 4 years, and I teach that. And then we just finished up in July this program we have called the Young Investors Academy. It's a 4-week program where we teach. 2 weeks is on stocks, so it's a way deeper dive into stocks, and 2 weeks on real estate. I teach the real estate portion, so the value of ownership, why you should have it, as well as investing and why you should do it and how you should do it. So I teach that at the high school level. I'm not expecting them to go out there and buy properties right away, but as I just want to expose them to the information because I felt like if I had been exposed to this in my high school years, my trajectory would be totally different. So that's one thing I'm big on, man. I love doing that. I love the impact, especially when I get the emails from the kids. on asking me more information, like how can I do this and how can I do that. Man, like I gave them all a copy of my book for free because I want to expose them. You know what I mean? I didn't have that growing up. I'm sure you didn't either, but we do now. We can make an impact though by doing it, by exposing them early.
Right, I agree with you. That's why I do that too. I do mentorship, Silverback Society. We go speak to 8th grade boys, and I introduce. I do technology, but also introduce financial literacy as well. I talk about real estate, stock, tech jobs, and stuff like that. How much money you can make.
That's fine.
Because it's very important. Like if, like I said, like you said, man, if we had this when we was younger, I mean, we would be up there already. But dude, since you teach, do you teach your kids anything? Because I teach my kids about stock and real estate and stuff like that.
So I try to, man. I got young kids 2 and 5, so they're not
Okay.
really at their age yet. But I do, like the 5-year-old, I take them with me to the properties and stuff like that, just to expose them to it. Like I got some of them named after them, like the entity that is owned it, that owns the property is named after them. So I just, try to make them. I'm trying to expose them as much as possible. Once they get to that age, then I'll be teaching them for sure. Like, bruh, they're gonna be straight. Like, we used to think that trust fund babies and all that was a white people thing. Not in my family. Not in my family. Shit, no.
Thank
Excuse
you.
my language.
Nah. Thank you for bringing that up. Because in our community, we're like, that's really unfamiliar. People having wills, trust, and stuff like that. Can you explain to people what is a trust and how do you structure yours, trust entities and stuff like that?
Okay, so before I talk about this, I'm no attorney. This is my disclaimer. This is for educational, informational purposes only. Do what you want with the information. Go verify with an attorney. But a will and a trust. Let's talk about this. So when you have a will, all it's saying is that you're writing down what you want your wishes to be, your last wishes when you die. So where you want your assets to go, things like that. When you die without a will, you're leaving it up to the government to dictate where you want your assets to go. So that's a will. So whether you die with or without a will, you're going to go through probate court is what it's called. And you're going to pay. There's fees involved with that. So it's up to you if you want to do that. I have a will. My family, we all have wills. So we dictating where we want our stuff to go. Now, if you want to level up and go a little bit above that, it's something called a trust, a living trust. So what a living trust does is it skips probate court altogether. So when I pass, my stuff does not have to go to probate court. I don't have to, my family, my state doesn't have to pay probate fees, court fees for the judge and the attorneys. Like I don't have to pay that because I skip it altogether. And my property, whatever I dictate in my will and my trust, it goes directly to my heirs or my beneficiaries of the trust. So that's the whole purpose of it. The government doesn't get into your information, into your business, and you just skip probate court and the fees altogether. And then you when you die without a will, man, that's you leave people to fight for your stuff, like family members. Like you don't want to do all that. Get your stuff together. It doesn't even cost that much.
Yeah, man, I agree with that because I know people, friends who fight with their siblings for assets. People moving into people's houses, just moving because they have access to it. They don't even own it. Like it can be long drawn out and expensive. So yeah, get your stuff in order, get a trust or a will, anything that keep it moving on your family aspect.
Yep. And don't think, my bad. Don't think that you have to do it when you're older. Like we never know when that day is gonna come. Do it today. Do it
now.
today. Yeah.
Because anything can happen.
Yep.
All right. So what's the future of your organization, your brokerage firm? What do you think? Where will you take it?
To be honest, I want to have multiple locations in the next 5 years, and eventually get to a point where it's big enough to where I can franchise it. Honestly, so that's my goal. I'm building out systems. Just figuring out like how can I make this bigger. Like I read this book, man. And this is a good one. We just finished maybe like 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago with the brokerage. So I booked the book club. So it was called, the book is 10X is Easier Than 2X. It's by Benjamin Hardy and Dan Kennedy, I believe. In that book, man, it talks about how if you want to go 2X, all you got to do is do the same thing you're already doing, just go a little harder. So put in more time, put in more hours, put in more energy. But if you want to go 10X, you got to change everything up. Like it got to be a radical change. So in the book, it talks about the 80-20 principle. I think it's Pareto's principle. So like 20% of your income. I'm sorry. Is that saying it right? No. All right. So you familiar with the Pareto's principle?
No.
Oh, damn. Okay. So the 80-20 rule.
Yeah, I heard the 80-20 rule. Yeah.
Okay, so your outcome is coming from 20% of the results, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So essentially, what the book got me thinking is I needed to get rid of 80% of what I'm doing, and outsource that to an assistant. So 2 weeks ago, I hired an assistant. So now I'm focusing on giving her all the tasks, that 80%, so I can only focus on the 20. Because if you focus only on the 20, that's how you scale. That's how you get larger. That's how you 10x. Focus on the 20% of things that's really driving the results. So read that book, man. It's crazy. So it's a radical change. So it got me thinking like I need to focus on how I can make this thing bigger. I gotta stop thinking like small. Stop thinking about just what I can do locally. Like how can I impact the masses? How can I get larger? So people, that's what I'm doing, bro. I'm trying to 10x everything now, man. When you expand your mind, it can't go back. Like a rubber band. Once you pull it all the way, it can't go back, man. So that's where I'm at with it.
I agree. That's what's up. I like that. I like that. That's what's up, yo. All right, man. That's all the questions I have for you. Where can the people follow you? I'll post your website for your business up right here. Right there. Service first. re.com. I have it on here. Where can the people follow you at? Get
So
your
I'm
book.
on so gotincomestreams.com is where the books are housed. On all platforms, I'm Cousin Sells LA. Cousin Sells LA. That's IG, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. I'm on all that. Cousin Sells LA. And I try to lately I've been trying to do some videos, man, where I'm educating the people, you know what I mean, with the knowledge. So I hired a company to do my social media marketing now. So we recorded a lot of content. So that'll be coming out. But also check out the podcast, the Financial Flows podcast. So everything real estate and personal finance.
Man, thank you, man. You dropped a lot of information and gems on here. Make sure y'all follow, share, and like this episode. Follow Cousin Sales LA. Check out Service First Real Estate. Check out his book. Trust me, y'all. He giving a whole lot of game. Most of the stuff is already doing this for free. It's already out there. So make sure you follow Financial Flow podcast. It's a great podcast, great content. Follow him if needing the real estate needs in Louisiana or the surrounding areas. Let him know. Man, appreciate you coming on the show. Thank you for dropping so much knowledge and giving up so much of your valuable time.
Appreciate you, bro. I know we trying to get this done for a minute, but I appreciate we finally do it, man. Everything is done at the right time, man. God's time.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I appreciate that. All right, y'all. Make sure y'all like this, subscribe, follow, share. See y'all next time. We out. Peace.
Thank you, bro.
Thank you.